Everyone, it's Michael Kikle. I hope you're doing well today, and I have a video here to talk about Pirates of the Caribbean 3 at World's End. Now, I've only seen this one other time in the past. This is one that I saw probably about 2010 or 11. My childhood best friend showed it to me, and I really grew up and loved the first movie, and I loved the second one pretty much too. But he swore by this movie and said it was the best one, and at the time, this was way before On Stranger Tides came out, if I remember correctly. I think that was, 2013, 2012? Anyway, this movie, I really, really loved it the first time I saw it with him. I was a little surprised the movie came out in 2007, which is almost 20 years ago. Very close to that. And it's also the longest of the movies, if I remember correctly. This movie is actually right at about 3 hours long. And sometimes it feels like it. That's one of my biggest complaints with this movie and with this series overall. When it has its dry spells, it really has its dry spells. That goes for this film. But At World's End was supposed to be the end of the trilogy, right? The end of Jack and Elizabeth and Will Turner's storyline. And personally, on rewatch now, finally seeing it for the second time in my life, I do think it's a good film still, despite being the weakest of that original trilogy from Gore Verbinski. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good about wrapping up these stories and having, to me, a satisfying story. But I will say I do feel like by the time 2 and 3 came out, the story had gotten a little complicated, a little complex, specifically with the subtitle of this movie, At World's End. That particular part of this movie, I don't know how much I like the general setup for this journey, but I like the journey. Does that make sense? Maybe in concept, I think it's a little stupid, but the actual execution of it, the fun you can have, all the sights you'll see in this movie, I like it. I like what it had to do. And if you don't remember, at the end of Pirates of the Caribbean 2, Dead Man's Chest, essentially you had Davy Jones' Kraken beast thing. Well, I guess it's not really his, but the Kraken beast attacked the ship that Jack was on after Will saw Elizabeth kiss Jack to kind of trick him. So he assumes, again, like in that Luke, Han, and Leia way, I keep comparing this with Star Wars, he assumes that she wants to be with Jack, and they have like a side thing going off, because Will's been out of the picture off and on so much. So, no one knows but Jack and Elizabeth what she did to Jack. And they also are pretty confident, well, Jack is dead. He's in this place called At World's End, according to the Black Witch Lady from the end of the end of the second movie. And this time around, they're going to go looking for him. And Elizabeth has this guilt panic in her, hoping that they don't find Jack Sparrow, but kind of, I think, deep down knowing that he'll probably still be alive. And this time along, at the end of Dead Man's Chest, they kind of tease this, that Barbossa is going to be going with them. I gotta be honest with you. I like Barbossa as a villain. I like him in this movie. I don't know how much I actually wanted Barbossa to be back for this movie. He's cured of this, evil thing that was happening with him and the crew and stuff because of the end of the first movie. But I don't know how badly I actually wanted Barbossa to be back for the series. That was one of the things that I forgot about with the movies when I watched part 2 the other week. And, I don't know how much I like Barbossa being here. He feels kind of tacked on to me. But everybody else is good as usual, great as usual. Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp. How could you not love Johnny Depp in these movies? He's fantastic. He's just as funny and over the top here. And I like when they tinker with the scenes where he's not drinking, and like how that goes. That was pretty fun. And then you have the panic amongst Keira Knightley's Elizabeth character trying to worry about whether they'll actually find Johnny Depp on this adventure through all these crazy locations and settings. There's so much CGI based around those things, and I really think they look cool. And Will kind of trying to back off from Elizabeth because of what he saw with her kissing Jack to trick Jack at the previous film. All of that was really well done, in my opinion. I think it's well balanced for what this movie has to do. Davy Jones is still our big, big villain for this movie, alongside that British government group that are kind of rising higher and higher to power. They're kind of working hand in hand together to try to, stop Will and Elizabeth. And there's the whole pirating committee, by the way. We focus on all these different groups of pirates, whether they be Asian or whether they be, whoever. All of these different groups, different races and stuff that have their own pirating crews. They actually have to convince all of these guys to work together with Jack and Elizabeth and Will's kind of leadership to stop Davy Jones and his Flying Dutchman and everything else. There's some moments in this movie involving Will's dad, is it Bootstrap Bill? Whatever. That I really liked and were really sad. Really, really sad. But the action is over the top as always with this pulpy adventure feel. I really enjoyed that, dude. This film still maintains some of those horror elements. One in particular, a scene that shocked me the first time I saw this with my childhood best friend I talked about a moment ago, where a guy, when they're traveling through this really cold Arctic temperature, one guy is looking at his foot. He feels like I guess he can't feel his big toe, and while he's kind of massaging it, his fucking big toe breaks off of his foot. Yeah. In a kid's PG-13 movie. It's more for teens, but you know what I mean. And you can see all the blood and everything in there. It's not bleeding, but you can see the blood frozen inside of his foot. That big toe snapping off is such a horrific snapping noise. It's such a shocking image to see in again, kind of a teenager movie. But yeah, that would have shocked the shit out of me as a kid, even though I grew up on gory horror films and slasher movies. But yeah, I really, really, overall, I like the film. I think it takes a little too long to get to Jack Sparrow. And when you get to him, you have some kind of fun stuff that I really dig too, like the little rock crabs in the movie. That, by the way, the CGI for those look absolutely awful. I don't know why everything else in the film CGI-wise looks so great, including Davy Jones and his crew, but then that looks like shit. That looks like absolute shit. I don't know if I already hit on this attempt to record or not, but I don't really understand if Jack is actually dead or not. I don't know if the movie ever answered that. Maybe I missed something. I think he's dead because of the Kraken thing at the end of the previous film that was so cool. But I don't know. I don't really know what's going on with that. But yeah. At World's End, I think, is fun. I think it's got some great moments, some great action, and really, to me, a really satisfying ending overall to kind of wrap up this trilogy that only needed to be a trilogy. But outside of that, it's not, I would say it's probably the weakest of the trilogy. It's not as strong as it needed to be. It's a little too long overall in the movie. I feel like there's a whole lot of shit you can cut out of this movie, specifically the very beginning, when the movie starts up with people being persecuted for having any kind of involvement at all with pirates. Even knowing a pirate will have you killed, hung at the gallows. And the movie starts off for like 15 minutes of a kid singing while he's about to be hanged, whatever. And other people in the community also in line to be hung or hanged or whatever, singing with him. It is so fucking cringe. It is embarrassing. There's no reason that should have been in here to kind of set the tone for this movie. There's a thing called score that you could just make a really tragic, haunting score instead of having fucking a little kid in Neighbors and stuff in a British town sing a weird song for like 10-15 minutes. You could have saved a lot of time for everybody. So just know a lot of the bloat of this movie is coming from garbage like that in the beginning. And it takes a little bit to get going anyway, so. With all that being said, I really like At World's End. Again, it's still my weakest out of the first three movies. I think the first two have so much more momentum and fun to them, but this film is really fun too, and I would totally watch this trilogy over and over again, man. It really offers what I like about Pirates of the Caribbean. That being our main three in the cast, and then, kind of the side elements like Barbossa. He's kind of fun here, even though I don't really think I wanted him here. Those crewmates, like the two guys, the one that has like the glass eye and stuff, they're fun here even. But yeah, it's got its moments, man. There is some stuff involving like the Black Witch, for example, that I think is so stupid. I mean, truly, truly stupid. And even with Elizabeth, there's moments involving her that kind of a mythology thing that I think is fucking garbage. So anyway, what do you think about At World's End? Put your thoughts and comments down below. Thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. Catch you later, and goodbye.